What up, y'all? We back for another occasion. It is a podcast for self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation. Big clip on the way in today. We got one from one of my favorite platforms outside of my own, but from the Joe Budden podcast. They had a real interesting conversation the other day, so I figured I'd take a piece of it to kind of open up for episode 70 right here. But Joe, don't strike me or get me taken down or nothing. It's all love, and I'm just promoting, talk that you put out there for the rest of the people that can connect. Spreading the word, spreading the message. This is really more so what Mark Lamont Hill said, but it came off of a conversation the whole group was having, and let's get it. Where we at? Oh, nope. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me get right. There we go.
Anytime today that I'm spending convincing, I feel like I could spend doing because I could do it now. I got it now. Yeah. I got it. Like I got the information. I got the financial ability to, if you don't believe, move.
That part.
Facts.
Yeah.
Roll or get rolled over, nigga.
A little long on this one, but listen, man. It's a great message on the way in. This part.
You, and also Ian, because I tend to talk to Ian a little bit more about this stuff, but it's all one big piece for me. I've learned a lot of lessons this year that I'm going to try to apply for 2026. And I think some of it comes down to underestimating what all of us, not just me, what all of us are kind of capable of.
Facts.
And underestimating the value we have to our industries, to the people. You know what I mean? I was talking to Ian.
Stay with me, y'all.
Week, and
been a while since we had an episode, so stay with me. Gems.
You give too much shit away.
You give too much away.
He was like, don't value views over subscribers, just as an example. You know what I mean? Like, you give too much shit away. People will pay for this if you make it clear that you value it. They'll value it.
Conditioning you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just never thought about things in that way before, and it's helpful, but that comes to establishing new boundaries for what you're willing to do and having new expectations for yourself that I didn't have. Even when you and I were talking, about
Listen up.
setting Patreon prices. It's the same thing. It's just like,
set the standard.
What do I think this thing is worth? What do I think people will think it's worth? And if I'm selling, if I communicate that I think it's worth this, then they'll buy into it. And I've struggled with that. So watching y'all do this has actually been really helpful for me.
Anytime.
And that's that, y'all. That's that. Message on the way in, real heavy. Yeah, I know the space I'm in. If you've been following, if it's your first time coming to check us out, I hope you enjoy, man. But we are going to get this theme music rocking. Once I knock off the dust, I got to tighten up the handles, get the jumper going again. This little hiatus I've been on got me all kind of off. But there we go. Let's get this shit rocking, man. Give me 1. Give me 2. Give me 3. Give me an abundance of air horns on the way in. Drop it. And as always, it is us, me, you, the viewers, the listeners in the house today for episode number 70 of the EFS podcast, the illest podcast in the nation. I'm just claiming it. I don't care if I'm solo. I don't care if I got people in the house. We got the illest podcast out. Maybe not the fastest growing yet, but soon come. We back for episode number 70. So as always, in the house, it is me, the man, the myth, the legend from the EFS brand himself, Mr. 1%, 2 times, soon to be 3 times, 4 times, maybe 5 times. D. Burke in the house. And as we let this theme music rock a little bit longer, please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. EFS podcast, we love the love over here. Tell a friend to tell a friend. So let's get this theme music faded out, man, and let's get to it. It has been a while, so bear with me as I knock the, like I said a little earlier, rust off. Cut this, and let's make this happen, man. It's just me, solo in the house. When it's me solo, I love to take on my realist A. Smith, my persona, since I ain't got nobody else to float the conversation with. But I'm back, man. We here, just me. I mean, we don't know how much longer it's going to be like this, actually, too. Everybody got things going on, but the train is back in motion, the content train, at least, as far as the EFS podcast. I'm back. I'm here, looking forward to getting my messaging off today. I've been in a real different space, man, and I want to update the people as we, continue the journey together. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As I said, tell a friend to tell a friend. We back. We here. Let's go. So, as we do kick it off, it is time to, update the people on where we've been at, what's been going on for the past months now, I guess, since the podcast is kind of taking a turn to the hiatus side of things. Listen, man, it is just time to prioritize certain things. And I did not feel like me doing the podcast on a weekly basis was feasible, I would say. It could have been done, but, doing it at quality and making sure the conversations is right, making sure that, it's something that has a little bit of meat on the bones, pause, but outside of the current events and things that we've touched on a lot, it's easy to do that. And oftentimes I think I'll fall into that pattern. And it's something that I've struggled with to make sure that anything I put out to you people is something that you can either be entertained by or, learn from as I go along on the journey, because a living example for everything that I bring to you. So, being in the space to where, as you guys know, if you was listening the last time around, been working for myself for the past 6 months, and in the middle of that, getting my ass kicked as a new entrepreneur. Well, not new, I would say, reintroduced as an entrepreneur in my post-athletic career. Not that I haven't done entrepreneurial things up to that point, but really just standing on it and taking the time to build and create a brand that can be consistent and grow, that you can scale, monetize, et cetera, all that stuff. It's hard being a team of one, and I've said that before on previous episodes. And in the midst of all of that, it was just time for me to really lock in and do some things and get to some things that I really wanted to get off the ground. And one of them, it's already out there now, which is really just me opening up my facility, which will be here next year, hopefully early in the next year side. But yeah, that was really it, man. Really it. Sometimes you got to really prioritize what the main immediate goals are and make sure that you put enough into that to get them off the ground. Because I'm a person that likes to have ambitions and a person that loves to, just tap into different things that I want to do. But executing is big, and being able to execute in a way that's tangible, in a way that is going to be something that you could actually work towards and just not get derailed was a big focus. So, that's why we took the break. But, I feel like I'm in a real good space right now with everything that's coming, with everything that's happened, to kind of get, back to you guys and delivering these episodes and keep on pumping them out. And I have some good conversations coming up too. So I got some things planned that, we'll definitely release when the time comes. But break was really off of that. And, with that said, it's really just time to get to what we talked about with the announcement of the facility coming and the EFS Training Center getting off the ground. No real applause just yet, because we're still tinkering. We're still making the path to opening the doors as sound as it can be. And facility has started getting built out. And not to say that, I don't have a bunch of things already that I could add to the facility, which I will, but the actual build of the space is happening now, and it's been announced. So really excited about that. I guess I'll give myself a round of applause. Oops, here I go again. See, got to knock the rust off. But round of applause for myself on that, for all the work I put in to even get to this point. And we'll give another big round of applause when the time comes. I may get emotional when that day happens, just because, again, the road that it's really taken to get there, and seeing things through, and seeing things through is big for people who want to put their 10 toes down on goals. So that's that, man. And with that being the case, man, I did update you guys as far as why we've taken a break. But, in that time, I wanted to kind of bring some things back from my experience overall to update where we at now, and then kind of fast forward as we go to the future, man. So as I said, I have learned a lot in my last 6 months of being an entrepreneur, and then just taking my time to let things happen and go through the ups and downs with all of it, and be able to keep things rolling and keep things pushing. So as we've discussed multiple times on this podcast before, I left my job in June and decided to take on a role working for myself as a trainer, coach, and now facility owner, or going to be soon to be facility owner. But just, taking on that role, which has been something that has I've had to embody, but also learn a lot in the time to be able to do it on a high level, and then be able to grow business a little bit. So me having a space was one of the main goals that I had when I left my old job at the old space, which we won't mention on here right now. Refer back to a few episodes ago, the Bitch Boy episode, any other episodes that we put out where I mentioned the company, the role that I had there, a high role, high level, and then stepping away from that to then, want to have my own space where I can operate things and just build a culture, So the process for that started this year around March or April, back when I was training for my marathon. I want to say March, actually. Early March, mid-March, in the middle of me, getting my body ready to go through one of the toughest challenges I had in my life. I started thinking ahead about what I wanted to do, and it's like, yo, bro, if you really put your mind to it, you can get a space off the ground. And even at that point, not knowing exactly what it was going to take to get there, because we've learned a lot in the past 6 months leading up to this time. But I thought I can do it. And, I'm that much closer to it now. So this process started back in March of me beginning to scout a facility to then open a facility. And I would say that I didn't realize all the things that was going to come into it. And a lot of the experiences I've had over the past 6 months have made me better for what I know I can do in the future going forward. But for any people who are of that mindset or have been of that mindset that have gotten their own space off the ground and then been able to consistently grow and scale, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, listen, man, you get a big hats off from me just because now having done it myself, or piece of it myself, I'd say, because I'm not all the way to the goal of getting the facility open. And then we still got to prove that we can be successful, grow, scale, et cetera, at some point. But even getting to the point where you are about to get yourself a spot to get off the ground, kudos to you if you've done it. Like, for real. Like, having the opportunity to go through this experience and learn has sharpened me in a way that I don't even really know how it's going to pan out in the future, but it's made me a different person. The way I look at money, the way I look at opportunities, and the way I look at, the things you got to go through as far as the ups and downs to get to a goal, it makes me look at it completely different, man. Because throughout this process, I've had to learn how to manage money when you don't know when the next check is coming in exactly. I've had to learn how to take gambles and risk on yourself, not knowing how things are going to turn out in the immediate future over the next few weeks and stuff. And really invest in my own time and my own money into the goal. Having to apply for permits, having to put up money to secure a facility, down payments, first whatever month's rent, it's all that. Like, that was something that really tested me at a certain point throughout the process, and multiple points throughout the process, actually. And it should be a master class in how to do it. It should be, at some point. And maybe one day I'm gonna write a book, or maybe one day I'm gonna put out a piece of what the step-by-step process was actually like, just for educational purposes, because people don't really know all the time stepping into it. And I went into it with a little bit of knowledge and having to learn on the fly, like I pretty much do with a lot of things in my life. And seeing it through now to the point where, again, we're close is an experience that I'm never going to take for granted for the rest of my life, just because, again, it does grow you, it does help you to learn, it does sharpen you. So all those steps to now getting to where I'm building out a space puts me in a very excited place, but it's also put me in a space of like really trying to figure out and understand why I got here, and throughout this whole 6 months, I've been in a very introspective space, because now having to do things for yourself puts you in a mindset to where you really have to understand you, what makes you tick, what motivates you, what makes you feel down, what keeps you going when you don't really know how things are going to go. It all brings you to a place, where you have to look internally and then figure out who you are, So throughout this process, long story just to get to the point to say, I now understand more about why I want the things I do. And it all kind of boils down to my experiences coming up as an athlete. And you guys know I'm big on the athletic journey, the things that athletes go through, the things that happen to them while they're in their sport, the things that happen to them once they leave their sport, which I've had to see both sides of it now, and how it kind of makes you who you are as a person. So I say that to say that my life in athletics has driven me, but also put me in a space to where I feel like I got to catch up, And if you know me, you know my athletic background and journey. You know what you know, but those that don't know me, coming up, my first and one and only goal with anything athletic was to get a scholarship to go to college. And I've said that on this podcast before, so it's not like it's new or like news that you first time ever heard me saying it, because it was the one thing that me and my mother had a conversation that when I was 12, as far as what my future was going to be like. And like many mothers or fathers of families and, lower income or sometimes middle class, they look at the future for their kids and like, listen, man, like I can't afford for you to go to college, is basically what my mother told me. So at that point, me looking at my goals of playing in basketball, I'm like, all right, well, if she can't do it, then I know the only way for me to get there, which college was the thing at that point, to say that I can get a scholarship. So I made that promise to her that I was going to get a scholarship, and then really started to devote myself to that goal and then see where the basketball game could take me, from that point as a young man to now has been a very big journey to pull from. So going to college, or going through high school, I should say, trying to get recruited, I made a lot of moves just to help myself have a better chance at doing it, and not being very highly recruited in high school was something that wasn't going to help, I would say. So I made decisions to put myself in a better space for that, and turn my life upside down a little bit just to put myself in front of people and give myself the opportunity to achieve that goal of a scholarship. And always feeling like as a late bloomer, I had catching up to do, because some of the guys that were more highly touted than me, the ESPN top 100 guys and the guys that, were the McDonald's All-American, the Jordan Roundball Classics, like those people who were being considered for that game, and me feeling like I could have that for myself, but I had work to do, So I'm a quintessential late bloomer as a basketball player, and catching up to everybody else to then be able to get to college at a major Division I university. Shouts to Marquette. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Was a journey that I felt very accomplished by, but then seeing the game for what it was when I got to college was like, okay, damn, like there's so much more that can come from this. But having the ups and downs in college and feeling like I wasn't as showcased as I would have liked to have been, it made me feel like I had left something on the table a little bit. Just because when I got to college, I'm like, listen, I could be talented enough to get to the NBA, or I could work hard enough to get to the NBA, but never really having that chance to, in a real way, because I devoted myself to the team, and the opportunity that we had to be great was my main focus, in not jumping around and changing schools because I wanted to buy in to the university. So in a lot of ways, sacrificed myself. And if you know from back then, people thought I was very talented and had the ability, very talented, but very raw, I would say. I was very raw at that point. Not as polished as a lot of players were, who were on that level from, before me, or being those highly touted guys. And again, me having work to do. So I felt like I had a chance at something, but when I got to college, things kind of changed. And then I took on a different role, who was more of a team guy, And as part of this whole story, wanted to kind of tie into a conversation that I had with people that were very close to me, and one person specifically that was very close to me, as I was just out in Milwaukee a few weeks ago for my brother, my man, who you saw the pictures that were out there, that he got his jersey retired, Jarrell McNeil, my college roommate, one of my best friends in life. Round of applause for him on that. But around that whole experience, I had a conversation with one of my teammates who, we played 4 years together, and that was Dominique James. So I mentioned Jarrell McNeil, my brother, Dominique James, another one of my brothers, Wesley Matthews, another one of my brothers. This was the first time that we was all together in a long time, as well as other people, who, if I didn't shout you out at this point, it's no shade. But, tying into this story was the conversation that me and Dominique had, or not the full conversation, but a piece of it. And him being somebody that really breathed life into me at that moment. And now, over 15 years later, as we all are men who are retired from the game of basketball, we all sitting around chopping it up, and Dominique starts having a conversation with me about, like, you had it harder than all of us, meaning, me, him, Jarrell, Wes, like, you had it harder than all of us just because of the things that you had to sacrifice to remain part of our unit and part of our team. When, he was saying that, we should have had you doing this when you was in college. We should have had you playing like this when you was in college, just because he saw what my career ended up turning out to be in totality. But, you know, saying at that point, like, we could have had more out of you had we utilized you in a different way, you know, and him recognizing that I had it tougher than them to his, you know, and we all had it tough. So it's not to, you know, compare struggles in any kind of way. But him saying that to me was really just like, damn, you know, one of the people that I really went through the fire with saw me and understands, at least maybe now, this far into his life, you know, what I went through, you know. And he said some other things that really kind of gassed me up. But it put me in a space to kind of understand that some of the things that I want now in my life and career are related to the fact that, you know, I might have not as gotten as much out of my career on the athletic side, you know, and blessed, very blessed as a basketball player. I played 10 years professionally, 11 different countries over the span of 10 years. It is not something to turn your nose up at. I will take that to the grave with me. And a lot of you niggas have not been able to put together a resume like that. You know, not to pat myself on the back, but as I've made it this far into life, I really look back and realize that I've done a lot more than I've given myself credit for, you know. But I've also had the feeling of not being where I wanted to be within that space. And then stepping away from that, having life in front of me and having to figure things out, it's like, yo, I really want something for my own, myself, you know, something that I can grow and feel like it's a success and feel like it is an impact, because I may have not been able to have that much impact in my other career as I wanted to, you know, even though, again, I know and I recognize that I had a very, very great career. But say that to say that, you know, there's nothing really more motivating than feeling like you left something on the table and having a chance to figure things out as a civilian now in this life. Me feeling like I have something to grab off of the next table sent me into it with like, yo, I got to figure this out. You know, I got to put my brand on a spotlight. I got to put myself, the things I offer the world, on a spotlight, just because, again, I'm a person that likes to make an impact. You know, I wanted to make an impact as a player. So now in life, wanting to make an impact is something that drives me, and it's a motivating factor, and was a motivating factor in my decisions to leave my last job and then take on this whole process of being an entrepreneur. And, you know, it's something that I kind of understand that now is one of my better qualities, because it's something that someone else may not have that I could consider as maybe competition, you know, or maybe having the chance to work harder or be more of a, you know, hustler or grinder than so-and-so might give me the leg up in my new space, my new territory, my new, you know, land I'm trying to conquer. So all that said is really just making me realize that the comparisons that I used to have to maybe other people's careers, other people's lifestyles, other people's experiences may not necessarily have been for me at that point, but where you're at now, you have the understanding, the knowledge of self, the confidence, the vision to then take off in a different kind of way. And I 100% feel that about myself. I 100% feel that about this brand. And now, knowing that I have work to do to get there, but then seeing success from the things that I've given so far to people and I've put out there into the world is a very, like, it's something that I don't know. I take it as one of the most important times that I've learned something in my life is now, because it'll be one of my biggest driving factors going forward. Like, stepping out on your own and then realizing that you have people that support you, people that buy into you, people that will go hard for you for the things that you offer them. And to me, at this point, it's my clients, really, you know, having people come along board with me to train with EFS Training, having people promoting my business, and the word of mouth referrals that I've gotten from my clients it's like, it gasses me up, because it lets me know that what I'm doing is actually valuable, you know, to people, to lives, and the impact that I want to make, you know. And even in business, it's great to make money, but I've never wanted to do it at the, you know, while sacrificing doing good and quality work for people. Because as a trainer, as a coach, I've said this before, you live in service to others. So then having the service that you offer to others be something that they love so much that they'll tell a friend about it. They'll, you know, rave and rant about, you know, what you're doing to other people, or even just breathe life into you. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier about my teammate, Dominique James. I've had clients come up to me and be like, listen, Like, give yourself credit for everything you're doing now and understand that we love you, we rock with you, and, you know, we support you for real, you know? And that's something that I don't take for granted, but I also understand that that's something that only comes because of one concept versus the other, or one word versus the other, and that is transactions versus relationships, which is another big learning factor that I've had throughout this time, and something that even hit more like today in itself, which makes this message even more profound for me. And we'll talk about that why in a little, as to why in a little bit. But relationships versus the transactions. What does that mean? There are people that want to sell you something because they can sell you it and they can make money off of it. But there are also the people that want to offer you something to then create connection so that you are someone or something that they feel like they either need, can't live without, or have so much value from what you give them that they will, again, go super, super hard for you and stay on board with what you're doing in a lot of different ways and a lot of different facets, right? So I'm one of the people that values the relationships over the transactions, and coming to the point now where I have these people who are so supportive of my brand and willing to go hard for me makes me understand that it only becomes that because of relationships. And it's no surprise. Those who know, they know. A lot of the people I have came from, you know, my last gig and them leaving to then follow me with everything I wanted to do training-wise. And it started with a few. It was about 10 people to start, which is a blessing in itself because I've seen it go the other way for people to where they leave a big brand and then they try to do things on their own and it's crickets, it's quiet, you know. But having people jump on so early and then going through the motions, the paces of running things and keeping them on top of their workouts, tracking their workouts, progressing things, and trying to just offer a new thing to their life than what they was used to, them going through it and really feeling, seeing, and experiencing the value from it made them want to, you know, spread the word. So little by little, you know, or just from me posting or me, you know, putting my content out there about what I'm doing now, I had another person, hey, what you doing? You know, let me come train with you. Oh, yo, I'm hearing you doing good things over there. I love the content, blah, 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 whatever. I need help. Let me come train with you. Referral. One of the people I work with puts me on with a client. This, that, to where in the point of, from the time, of about 4 to 5 months, I had the 9-10 people that I mentioned before to now over 30 clients in a short amount of time. Like, that doesn't happen without people valuing the relationships you create over the transaction of, hey, I'm just coming to work out with you. We in, we out, boom. You know, and I've always been a person that is about creating a culture. I've been that way as an athlete from the cultures that I played in and the people that I was around to then being in, you know, business and a trainer and then creating culture for a big brand and learning, you know, what creating culture actually means, is, and looks like. So I've always valued that. And the people that have been around me for the past 6 months that have paid me to train with me, they understand that the culture that I'm creating is something that drives what we're doing together, you know, whether that be being able to run faster, whether that be being able to lift heavier, whether that be, listen, I just want to look good in my clothes and I want to feel good. Those things are wrapped into the culture that I'm creating, you know, and it's dope. It's really dope to see. And it's something that really, really puts me in a space that if I feel, one, you know, when this facility gets open, if I feel like I can reach out to even more people or take on more people, which is the 100% plan, I want to see that culture grow. I want to see it get bigger and I want to see it flourish, you know? So that said, it is a very great time and a great space. And it only comes through the relationships that I have with the people that I serve, you know? So if you are a business owner or if you are someone that is trying to sell something to somebody, just know that sometimes the transaction is great, but the relationships you create to earn people's trust and to then have those transactions be tied into that is the way to go, you know? And the bigger you get, there's less opportunity for relationships and transactions because the billion-dollar companies, they're not having a lot of transactions. I know that the people that started Amazon, they don't have a relationship with everyone that they sell to. Sometimes it's just like that the bigger and bigger you get. But I always value the relationship over the transaction. And what that means for me in my next transition as a business owner and what 2026 looks like, which is more growth, more success, hopefully. You know, I do hope that relationships are the driving factor in all of that, you know. So that said, man, we ain't going to stay here too much longer. We're going to really talk about, we'll really deliver the quote and talk about how I got to that point. And then we out of here, man. This one's short. Just want to get the feet wet, get back out in front of y'all as people. And then, we'll keep these episodes coming as we go forward. But today, the quote comes from my church service today. And it's a little bit of joy to be here, but it is also something that I know I've had to kind of get back to, and that is spending time in the spiritual presence in church, because my life has always been growing up in church. My mother's been a big driving factor, one of my biggest spiritual leaders and spiritual, I guess, teachers has been my mother, and she's been back and forth with me about getting back into church and showing up every now and then as someone who believes in God and believes that he is a driving factor in your life. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. Let me start tapping back in a little bit. So today's church service, which is my second time going in 5 weeks, which is a lot more than the past couple of years. So we'll see how it goes, but I did receive a powerful message today, and it made me want to deliver the quote to you, because it kind of ties into some of the things I said earlier, so we'll bring it full circle on the way out. Today's quote is, God rewards those who remain without resentment. One more time, God rewards those who remain without resentment. And while I was in church today, I was really just having a moment of, I don't know, it just came, and I felt overwhelmed with joy for the success that I've had this early. Knowing I got a lot more to do, and it's not, to say I'm getting ahead of myself or anything like that, but seeing where I'm at right now versus where I was at 6 months ago, I felt overwhelmed with joy for the people that, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, go hard for me. The chance that I've had to take on to get really uncomfortable, which is my tagline for a lot of my fitness content and what I believe in life, just being in a space to experience the uncomfortable feelings and keep on pushing through them. I just felt very, very blessed and like overwhelmed with the fact that, where I'm at now can get even bigger going forward, So that said, I do feel like I've been rewarded in the early stages of my overall entrepreneurial state, but I do know that it only comes because I got someone, the big guy upstairs, riding for me and riding for the things that I do. And God don't play about EFS, man. There's some things that happened this week that made me feel like even more so that's the case. But even leading up to this point, like every time that things have gotten a little uncomfortable within business and really, really had to figure it out to where I'm starting to stress about the next steps of things, something happened. Signed a contract, got another client, figured things out. And those little moments have let me understand that, listen, you are blessed and you are in a space that as long as you do the right thing and keep your heart and your intentions pure, which is one of my prayers every day as a business owner, just making sure that I'm doing things for the right reason, that you will be blessed and you will have that, that success that you look for going forward. And it really just comes to show that once you stop looking at others around you, as I did as a player, and then feeling like, they may be a little bit further ahead than you, or they may be getting an opportunity that you don't have or that you want, that you might not get. You got to really just look at yourself, your own journey, and remember that, stay connected to what's true to you and live in that truth as you go forward. So yeah, man, that's really it. Quote of the day. It's very big on the motivational side of things. This whole episode has kind of been, and as I've always said, man, I try to be a living example of the things that I speak to you, whether it's something that you can connect with, great. I love to connect with as many people as possible with the impact I'm looking to make. So for me, I'm just happy, man. I'm happy and I'm in a good space, and want to leave this episode with complete gratitude for what I've achieved, but also understand that it gets bigger and better going forward. This platform gets bigger and better going forward. The things I want to do in the fitness space get bigger and better going forward. And the other opportunities I want to create for myself get bigger and better going forward. And again, I lead with gratitude every time. So on the way out, man, don't forget to guard yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and all things in between. And if you came to episode number 70 and got through this much, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That said, I will catch you on the next one. EFS Podcast number 70 is out. Peace. Later.